Hi everybody, Shariq, regulated Canadian immigration consultant, back with another video on Canadian immigration. My prayers and wishes that all of you, along with your families, are doing really well wherever in the world you are. In today's video, we are going to talk about Canadian immigration on the basis of business or Canadian business immigration. This has been a topic that a lot of people have inquired on the various social media platforms that I post my videos and other posts on. I know that there's a lot of clients out there who are interested in migrating to Canada on the basis of business or investment. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the various streams that are available. So stay tuned till the end of the video. So if you are somebody who has run or managed a business anywhere in the world and have the financial ability to invest in an existing business or start a new business in Canada, this video will provide you a brief overview of the various options that you have. I would also like to state here that for people who are interested in migrating to Canada and have looked at various skilled migration options and are not able to meet the points requirements for various federal-based programs or PNP programs because of, say, higher age or not having strong enough IELTS education or whatever it be, and they have good management experience with them, and they also have some financial ability to make an investment in Canada in an existing business or start a new business. The business migration streams that I'm going to talk about in today's video are applicable to them as well. So it is these particular options are open for businessmen who've already managed, established, and run business around the world, as well as people who have senior management experience or management experience for that matter, and have some investment available with them to start a business in Canada. So let's look at the details of the various programs that we have. Just for understanding, there are three broad categories that are there, which are: number one, you have the startup visa. Number two, you have the entrepreneur streams by various provinces. And number three, you have the owner operator work permit or owner operator LMIA category or stream that is there by the federal government. Let's start with the startup visa. So as the name suggests, this is actually for people who have an innovative, unique business idea and they would like to start it in Canada and maybe looking for funding for that. So the way it works is that if you are an individual anywhere in the world, or if you are a group of individuals up to 5 people who have a unique business idea, you can pitch it to one of the designated investors within Canada. I'll share the link where you can have a look at all these designated investors. These are basically venture capitalists, angel investors, and business incubators within Canada. So you pitch your idea. Keep in mind that each of them has their own requirements in terms of how they assess these ideas, if they get back to you or not. That is something that you have to research and manage with them. But if you're able to get a letter of support from one of them, wherein they agree on providing funding for your business idea, and that funding is at least $200,000. It can be more than that, but at least $200,000, you can qualify for the startup visa and immigration on basis of that. There are certain details wherein specific shareholding and all that. I'm not going to get into that. You can post in the comment section and we can tell you a little more about those. But in a nutshell, you must get a letter of support for your business idea from one of these designated investors. The investment must be at least $200,000. It can be that the applicant who is pitching the business idea is just one person, or it can be up to 5 people. And if it is a group, if it is more than one, all of them can qualify under this stream. It takes about 12 to 16 months on an average for processing, so keep in mind that this will take a bit of time. There are language requirements, but not very high, so don't worry about that. And then there are other general procedural requirements that are there. So this is a great opportunity for techies, for IT people who have innovative business ideas. The tough part is going to be pitching to these venture capitalists and investors and selling your idea to them. But once you have that, you can easily use the startup visa stream to migrate to Canada for yourself or for the whole group that you have who has this business idea. So next up we have the provincial run programs, which are called as the entrepreneur or investor programs. Now these are run by almost all of the Canadian provinces and territories, and each province has a slightly different mechanism and requirements as well. I'm not going to go into the detail of that in today's video. I will in future make specific videos for that. And if you're interested in knowing about any specific, you're more than welcome to post that in the comment section, and we'll get back to you on that. In general, there are 3 broad requirements for these programs. Number 1, you have to show your experience owning and managing a business. Usually you're required to have at least 3 years of experience owning a business and running it. If you have not owned a business but you were a senior manager in a business, usually you're required to have about 5 years of senior management experience, and that can be counted as well. So experience owning and running a business, or experience being a senior manager in a business. That's the first thing, common to all of these programs. Next up, you have to prove your net worth. Net worth is the total value of all assets that you own in your own name or in the name of your spouse. For most of these programs, you are required to have at least about 500,000 Canadian dollars of net worth. The valuation is actually done by designated auditing and accounting firms, but roughly, if you feel that the total value of your assets, all assets, is around 500,000 Canadian dollars, you can be eligible for one of the programs. Next up is the investment requirement. So each of the province has a minimum investment requirement set. Slight variations, but generally we're looking at about 250,000 Canadian dollars to 300,000 Canadian dollars. Now, for each of the province, as I mentioned, that there is a difference between the minimum investment requirement between the provinces and then even within the provinces. So say for instance, if you're talking of the way it works is that if you're looking at establishing a business in one of the big urban centers within that province, the big city, 1 or 2 cities within the province, the minimum required investment is slightly higher. If you're looking at establishing a business in a small community or in a small city, small town, then the minimum investment requirement is slightly less. But generally we're looking at least about 250,000 to 300,000 Canadian dollars all across. So these are the 3 requirements which are common to all, and these are probably what you can call as the minimum eligibility requirements. These programs, just like the skill migration programs, also work on a point-based system where you are granted points for these 3 factors that I mentioned, as well as your education, your language ability, your adaptability in terms of credentials of your spouse, these various factors. Now don't worry, because a lot of business people all around the world might have a lot of business experience, have a lot of money to invest, high net worth. They might not be all that strong in English language ability, or they might not have very high qualification. For many of these programs, these requirements, the language, education, all these are not mandatory requirements. And even if they are, the requirement is usually very low, like a CLB 5, just 5 on IELTS, even less in some cases. Education requirement might only be equal to high school. But the way it works is that you are granted points on all these different factors, and then you become part of the pool for that particular province. So say for instance, we talked about net worth. So if somebody has a net worth of $500,000, they might get 5 points in a province. If their net worth is beyond $1 million, they might get 7 points. So, as you go up the ladder, you get more points. Also, with these factors, education, language ability, age, if you are not in the most ideal situation, and you can have more points because of your level of investment and other factors, fair enough. But because it's a competitive point-based system, so if you can have some points from these factors, that will definitely boost up your application. The way the process works is that first you get to have your eligibility assessed for which province you have a good chance. Each province can have different priority business areas, so it is always good to do that research as to the kind of business that you would establish. Maybe a province has a high focus towards that, so your chances increase. You might actually get some additional points for that. Then you build a general business plan, a business idea. So you submit your expression of interest where you put up your business idea, a generic business plan. You provide details about all these factors that I've mentioned, and you become part of the pool where you are given some points and you are ranked within all the other applicants that are there. All these provinces do various rounds of invitation all around the year. The top standing candidates will be invited, and then they will be asked to provide all the documentation against the expression of interest that has been put up. Your business plan is scrutinized at that stage, all other details. Once that scrutiny is done and everything is fine, you are provided you're provided the support documentation by the province to apply for your work permit from the federal government. You get that work permit and you move to Canada along with your family, and that is when you're supposed to establish your business. Now, just before that, you're supposed to sign up a performance agreement where the province will sit down with you and decide on certain milestones for this particular business. There are certain requirements as well. So once you move to Canada and you start your operations, you are constantly monitored by the province against the milestones, against the performance agreement that you've submitted. And then depending on province to province, between 12 to 24 months is the time frame where you become eligible. If you have achieved all the milestones which were part of your business performance agreement, you become eligible for the provincial nomination, and you get your permanent residency application sorted through that PNP. The overall time that this can take is between 18 months up to 2.5 years. So it takes a bit of time, it takes a bit of research. But the good thing about these programs are that these are really very well structured. It's a clear pathway. So you submit your proposal, it gets selected, you move to the province, you establish the business where the province will actually help. The provincial authorities will help you in running that business, will provide a lot of support. You're able to achieve the milestones agreed, and at the end, you automatically become eligible for the permanent residency. So very well structured program. As I said, that a lot of details, feel free to ask for details through the comment section. So now we move towards the third major option for business immigration, which is commonly known as the owner-operator LMIA or owner-operator work permit option. This is not a category or stream in itself, but lately this has been the most popular business migration option. The other two options that I've mentioned in the previous sections of this video, you might have already observed that they take a lot of time, for sure. They're complex, or maybe there's a lot of structure around them, so not everybody can qualify through one of those programs. But this particular program does not have a lot of requirements, and you can easily qualify for the first stage. The whole concept is that you are required, or you're supposed to start a new business in Canada or buy an existing business in Canada. Now this can be something that you own all by yourself, or it can be in partnership as well. The only requirement is that if it is a partnership, you must have majority shareholders, so at least 51%. So you buy or establish a new business in Canada. There's no minimum investment requirement, no real figure that it has to be 100,000 Canadian dollars, 150,000 Canadian dollars. There's no requirement as to where you would want to start this business. This can be anywhere in Canada. Once you buy this or you establish this business entity will support you for an LMIA and a work permit to move to Canada as the owner and operator of this business. So that's the whole concept. So ideally, if you have experience running a business anywhere in the world, or if you've been working and you have the experience and capabilities to manage office and manage a project, you can look at applying for this. As I mentioned, there are no minimum investment requirements. You can look for any legitimate business anywhere around Canada. It's not supposed to be self-practice businesses where you're just a chartered accountant and you say that I will just sit on my own and practice that. No, it has to be a business which is supposed to provide, first, create economic activity in Canada, the investment will come into Canada, and then it is supposed to create job opportunities for Canadian PR and citizens. So if you are able to find a business anywhere in Canada which is only worth, say, 50,000 Canadian dollars, and that's all that the investment is required, fair enough, as long as this can be proved that it is a legitimate business through financial statements and projections. It can be proved that it will be a feasible, sustainable business in the long run, and also it can have economic benefits for Canada. Fair enough. Generally speaking, I would say that if you're looking for this option, you would be looking at 150,000 Canadian dollars on an average, but this figure can change because somebody might buy a business by themselves, or somebody might look for a partnership. Somebody might be looking at establishing in a small town, a big town, the nature of business, so this can vary, but looking at 150,000 Canadian dollars to 200 Canadian thousand dollars is enough of an amount that you could have some good possibilities. Now, in terms of the immigration or the permanent residency, actually, through this program, so see, once you get the work permit for this business, That is arranged employment in Canada, because a Canadian company is offering you a job. Now, if you have a good enough a business wherein you can be considered at a senior manager's level, this particular job offer can fetch you 200 points under express entry for a knock 00 job offer, arranged employment. If it's a small one, it wouldn't be considered as knock 00. And then also, once you worked in Canada for a year, that will be Canadian experience, so you could get the points for that as well. So the pathway from this particular program to permanent residency is usually dependent on your overall credentials. There are various ways you could apply through express entry. There are some provincial nomination programs in which you could qualify. But in a nutshell, keep in mind that through this program, you get to have the arranged job offer points, as well as the possibility of gaining points for Canadian work experience, and that's how you move towards the PR pathway. So this program, with the flexibility that it has, with the not very high requirements, has been a very popular program. All you have to do is look for a business that you think you have enough financial capability to invest in, and then manage that business. Start the process for LMIA, then work permit, start the business itself, and then move towards your permanent residency. So these are the different options available to people who are interested in business migration to Canada. And hopefully I have been able to provide a sort of a overview of all of these. Unfortunately, could not really get into the details of these programs, because had I done that, the video would have gone forever. But I would encourage and appreciate if you could post your questions, your feedback in the comment section. If you would like to know about specific programs or the details of specific business immigration programs, because that will, first we will get back to you, and also that will help us make videos for the programs where we sort of see that more and more people have interest. So that's all from my side for today in terms of business immigration for Canada. Do subscribe to the channel and follow the Facebook page if you've not already done that, or if you're watching the video for the first time. Your feedback, greatly appreciated. Share it with other people so that other people can benefit. Once again, thank you for watching. Till the next time that we meet, take care, and Allah Hafiz.